I grew up as a little girl in a family that was broken into at the age of 5. I remember hearing my parents fight, and I crawled up into the kitchen to listen to them saying awful things to each other as they broke dishes after they said mean things to each other, one by one, seeing this heap of broken dishes in the kitchen. I couldn't understand what was going on, but I just knew that my world was going to fall apart not having my father there at the house anymore. After my dad left, I remember going out to the front yard, sitting on the porch waiting and waiting for him to come back, and he never did. I asked my mother if it was something that I did, or perhaps even my brother, if he did something wrong. And with tears in her eyes, she said no, it was just that they were done. It was hard being a little girl in a single family. My mother was never home. She was either working or going to school or trying to find someone to love her. That was hard, because kids, they can be mean, asking where your mother was or where your dad was and not knowing what to say to them. As I got older and still going to school, having Father's Day, having to bring your dad and knowing my dad wouldn't be around, that was even harder. I started to have self-doubt about myself. My brother would see my father. They would spend a lot of time, and I remember picking up the phone one day and hearing him tell my mother, "You take care of the daughter and I'll take care of my son. I have nothing to say to her because I can't relate to her." And I remember how the inside of me just fell apart. At that point, I just started falling into myself. I started to become very shy. I didn't relate to anybody, and I never had any friends. At school, they would sit me at desks to be by myself. I also had problems with my hearing, so I'd get made fun of for that. Teachers would call my parents thinking I just wasn't listening. I'd get sent home from school a lot. I'd fail a lot of grades. I had surgery when I was 5 because I couldn't hear. Having to go to special education, having to learn how to talk again because I couldn't pronounce a lot of words. I went to visit my dad one time, and I remember the whole time that I was there, he left me behind so he could spend time with my brother. I called my mom to come and get me because I felt so unloved. I started getting very, very angry. I fought with both of my parents. When I became a teenager, I got involved in basketball. That was the only thing that I could do really good, and I excelled in it. People started to notice me. It was amazing. The only people who didn't notice me was my parents. That hurt. In high school, I started to get noticed even more. I averaged 28 points a game, 15 rebounds. I started to get looked at. But every time I looked up into the bleachers for my mother, she wasn't there. So then I started rebelling. I didn't go home. I didn't grow up in a house that I had God as a foundation. In fact, she thought they were brainwashers. So I had to lie to go to church. I was dating a guy that his family had a very solid foundation of Jesus in their life, and I thought that was amazing. I thought his whole family was amazing because they were solid. They went to church. I mean, that whole thing just fascinated me. I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to feel a part of a family. So I would get my clothes, put them into a backpack, and run up the street so I could go to church with them, and they'd pick me up, take me to church, drop me off at the corner, and I'd come home. I did that for about a solid year until I finally decided I wanted to tell my mother, "Mom, come to church with me. I want you to see what this is all about." And I remember taking her. I was so excited to take her to church, but when she sat there, her look of disgust, and she said that's just brainwashers, you can't come back here. And feeling that knife just go through my heart just killed me. I moved out of my house with my mother at the age of 18 years old. I moved to Denver. I got out of control. I started drinking alcohol a lot. I got pregnant when I was 19, became a mother, had a beautiful daughter. And I remember the day I found out that I was pregnant, walking outside and looking up at the sky and telling God, if this is what I'm supposed to do, please, please just come into my life and help me get through this. When I called my mother to tell her that I was going to have a baby, she asked me if I was going to have an abortion. That about went through my heart. I didn't know what to do. I just kind of went away from her for a little while, and then I ended up having to move back home. I had my daughter. She was beautiful. And I'm so glad that I did, because she's so wonderful. My grandmother, who was the most important person in my life, became ill with cancer. Watching her go through cancer was the hardest thing that I had to ever go through in my entire life. She was so strong, and her faith in God was amazing. Even up to the moment that she passed away, she kept telling me, Barbara, you need to stay strong in God. You know, He's getting me through cancer. I can't wait to get up there with Him. I was so angry when she died. She was my everything. I didn't even want to live after she died. When I was 35, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And to hear those words come out of the doctor's mouth was crazy. I thought, cancer? I'm young. How can I be diagnosed with breast cancer? I'm a mother. I have so much life left to live. Right there, the word cancer, all I heard was death. I thought, I can't do this. This is not for me. But being the person that I became, the one that would take care of things on my own, I thought, I can do this. I can get through this. I didn't tell anybody. I kept it to myself, because that's the way I raised myself to be, was just to take care of things on my own, not to tell anyone. I didn't get close to anyone. Well, I got sick all right. Started chemo, started getting sick. Started coming to church, and I remember being so sick in the fetal position on the bathroom floor. And I remember hearing this voice tell me, I'm here. And it was God. He was reassuring me, telling me that He was here to take care of me. And I'm so thankful that He was here. Because now, I can live my life. And I know how to love myself, because God showed me what love was. And He showed me how to love others. I'm Barbara Sheets, and I am second.